Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Letting Go Cafe's podcast with conversations about change. I'm Darren L. Johnson, and let's just dive right in.
Welcome to Letting Go Cafe, offers change and solution, live conversations, and real talk for you. Letting Go Cafe.
In the last podcast, we discussed how to deal with toxic relationships. Today, we will talk about something I bet many of you have or will have to go through. Cleaning out your parents' house, or cleaning out a room in your house, or a closet, or an office space, garage, or storage space, or the like. I mean, talk about letting go of stuff. For me, it all began with a decision that was grounded in emotion. After the loss of my mom in 1992, then my dad in 2003, I wanted to honor them both by keeping the house in our family. And so they designed and built this house. And I thought, well, what better honor than to keep it in the family? My two brothers and sister had neither the time nor the inclination to keep it. So I decided to buy them out and own the house by myself. The sale happened in July. I moved into the house around September of that same year. Now, all the time I was negotiating the sale with them, I was focused on one thing: keeping the house in our family. After all, at that time, I felt strongly that it represented our parents' dreams and hard work. So there I was, in a 4,300 plus square foot home, surrounded with wonderful memories and warm and fuzzy feelings, grounded in love and full of excitement and energy to go ahead and finish this project. The house, on the other hand, had damaged and rotted out balconies, leaky gutters, 35-year-old green and gold shag carpet, and 3 bedrooms in which the showers and tub needed gutting out, and that's just for starters. So each bedroom was absolutely filled to the brim with stuff. But I had a plan. Listen up, because this might be you in the future, or it may be what you're going through right now, and this may give you some ideas, and I'll call it your letting go project. So for your letting go project, this may give you some ideas by listening to my story. I decided to start with the big stuff and eventually make my way down to the little bitty papers, books, and other stuff that existed throughout the house. These are the steps that I took in order to accomplish that. First, I gave my siblings a period of time in which they could come and get what they wanted from the house. They could come by, I don't know, it was maybe a month or so, but I also did the same thing for my parents' siblings, my aunts and uncles. Gave them a specific date. They had until this date to come to the house and get whatever they wanted. The next thing I did was I opened the house up to friends and others who also wanted to come by and get stuff. You know, they could come by and get anything they wanted: furniture, trinkets, dishes. Well, we had gobs of dishes downstairs in the kitchen, dishes upstairs in the kitchen. There was a lot of stuff that was in the house. Next, I rented large dumpsters and threw away all the broken furniture, boxes, trash, and other items. After that, the focus shifted to what needed to be fixed and repaired. So I hired someone to come in and gut out the showers and tub and to replace a couple of the toilets. Everything was moving along just fine until I got to my dad's office. That is when all the emotions came to the surface and I got stuck. Not only did I get stuck, but I had a physiological reaction to the process, and I got very sick. So I think I felt like I had the flu. I had stomach pain, a lot of discomfort physiologically, and it was all related to what the emotion that had gone into the work I was doing to clean out the house. It was pretty amazing, actually. So there I was stuck. And so I began to go through my dad's papers, handwritten notes, letters to associates, pictures of family, and the tons of boxes in his office. The emotion of his passing began to emerge over time. I then began to attach the emotions of love and endearment to every letter, every handwritten note, and even though I couldn't read his writing because he was a doctor, and sometimes it was hard to read his writing, but I still held on to the notes and to every little trinket in his office because I began to connect my emotion, the loss, to those items. My logic was that someone may need this one day. And that logic allowed me to hold on to a lot of what I really should have been throwing away. So I did. I held on to it. I stayed stuck for weeks. Then I got depressed because I was stuck and couldn't even seem to figure out how to get unstuck. Once I got stuck to one thing, it was like a snowball effect. I began to hold on to his clothing, his shoes, and other stuff as well. Then I wanted to hold on to broken furniture that my dad never got around to fix. He would put something aside and say, I'm going to fix this one day. He never did. I wanted to hold on to that. Eventually the house began to, at least in my mind, get clogged up again with stuff. I began to get frustrated with myself, and that affected my ability to deal with my business and other aspects of my life. So something had to change. One day, a friend came by to visit the house, and while walking around and looking at all the stuff, and of course I was bragging about what I was doing, I shared with her that I was stuck though, and she looked at me and said, Darren, I know a guy who wrote a book, and that book may help you. It is called Letting Go of Stuff. And she laughed, and then she left. I felt shocked that she had the audacity to hint at the fact that I needed to let go. I mean, gee, didn't she see all the work I was doing? But then again, she was right. The more I thought about it, I was stuck, and I needed to apply my own philosophy about letting go. And so that's what I did. I began to really take a look at what I was doing and where I was with my life. And sometimes it is important for us to take time to pause so we can get our bearings and figure out where we need to step next as we begin to step forward. So I did. The first action I took was for me to acknowledge that I was stuck. Now, that sounds simple, but believe it or not, a lot of people get stuck and they don't understand why or how. So I began to explore that. And without acknowledging, however, I could not have been prepared to explore the reasons why. So I have to acknowledge it first. And then acknowledging is the first step. This step sounds simple, but you may be surprised at how many people are in denial of needing to change. That is why this is probably the most important step. Step back and take a second. Until you're ready to acknowledge that you need to change something, until that actually happens, your friends and your family can tell you what to do. They can tell you that you need to change. They can even have interventions to assist. But until you are actually ready to accept and acknowledge it in your mind and your spirit, it's just not going to happen. There must be an alignment to change that has to happen between your heart, your soul, and your mind. The second thing I did was to realize that in the process of trying to change, I would go through changes. We often tend to naturally resist change, and we all know this, right? Everybody says that. But when we attempt to change something about ourselves, we sometimes become our own internal change resistor. We become resistant to our own change. Is that something? It's pretty interesting if you think about it. But there's a lot of research out there that supports that notion. Claiming change, yet unconsciously resisting, it can keep you stuck. You'll be stuck in that infamous dance of 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Claiming the why for the change, as well as claiming the vision and creating a vision for that change, can help you get unstuck and can allow you to move forward. Now, claiming a vision is something as simple as having a clear picture in your mind of what you will look like when you get to the other side. In other words, once you have successfully changed, what will that look like? Having a clear picture, or even a not so clear picture, but a picture nonetheless, will help you to get unstuck. And so that's really, really critical and important. And for me, in looking at the house, what I needed to come to grips with was the fact that in order for me to clean the house, I had to let go of all of those bits of paper and all the boxes and all of the broken furniture and everything that was all connected to my dad. I had to cut the ties of the emotions that I had created in my mind's eye to all of that stuff. That had to happen first before I could actually begin to move forward and move into the third action that I'm going to share with you, which was to manage and listen to my internal conversation. We all talk to ourselves. The internal conversation one has is the most believed of all conversations. So stay with me now on this. It is easy to convince yourself that you don't need to change or let go of something. Why? Because you believe 100% of what you say to you about you. And I'll say that again. It is easy to convince yourself that you don't need to change or to let go of something. Why? Because you believe 100% of what you say to you about you. And it's true. We do. Paying attention to the internal conversation is critical. Becoming consciously aware of what you say to yourself is powerful in that it will show you how and allow you to begin to change the conversation into what you want, especially since you believe what you say to you and 100% of it. Think about it. Cleaning out and fixing and repairing and selling my parents' house was my way of closing the chapter on that phase of my life. It allowed me to let go of Nashville and move on with my life. We left Tennessee and moved to New Mexico. I have since started several new chapters in my life and will always feel good that I did my very best to honor my parents. That is a big part of what letting go is all about. Doing what you can to influence a situation by focusing only on what you can control and choosing to move on with dignity and grace. That allows you to let go. And with that, I wish the very best to you as you move toward letting go more effectively in your life. Until next time, remember, letting go is about making choices that help you grow and be better. Here's to your next letting go journey. Take care.
Letting Go Cafe. Change solutions. A live conversation.